My brother believed his ex over me and cut me out of his life. Years later, he demands I plan his wedding for free. The truth that came out at our family meeting left everyone speechless. I, 32F, and my older brother Jake, 34M. 6 years ago, my brother Jake started dating this girl, Melissa, 31F. At first, everything seemed great. Melissa was charming, funny, and seemed to fit right into our close-knit family. I was happy for Jake. He'd been through some rough relationships, and Melissa seemed like she could be the one. About a year into their relationship, things started to change. Melissa began making subtle comments about how much time Jake spent with his family, especially me. We've always been close, and I didn't think much of it at first. But then she started accidentally forgetting to invite me to gatherings or conveniently scheduling things when she knew I couldn't make it. One day, Jake called me, his voice cold and distant. He accused me of trying to sabotage his relationship with Melissa. Apparently, she had told him that I had been sending her threatening messages, warning her to stay away from Jake. I was shocked. I hadn't done anything of the sort, and I told him as much. But Jake wouldn't listen. He said Melissa had shown him the messages, and he believed her. I begged Jake to show me these supposed messages, but he refused. He said he didn't want to betray Melissa's trust. I tried to reason with him, to explain that there must be some misunderstanding, but he shut me down. The conversation ended with Jake telling me he needed space and that he didn't want me in his life anymore. Just like that, my brother, my best friend, cut me out of his life. The pain was indescribable. I tried reaching out multiple times over the next few months, but Jake either ignored me or responded with short, curt messages. Our parents were caught in the middle, trying to mediate, but Jake had made up his mind. He believed Melissa over his own sister. The next few years were tough. Family gatherings became awkward affairs, with Jake and Melissa avoiding me like the plague. Our once close family was fractured, and I felt like it was all my fault, even though I knew I hadn't done anything wrong. I threw myself into my work as an event planner, building a successful business and trying to fill the void left by Jake's absence in my life. Fast forward to 3 months ago. Out of the blue, I got a call from Jake. My heart raced as I answered, hoping against hope that this might be the moment he finally believed me. But as soon as I heard his voice, I knew something was off. "Hey, sis," he said, his tone casual, as if the last 6 years hadn't happened. "I need a favor." I was stunned. After years of silence, this was how he chose to reach out? But I listened as he explained that he and Melissa were getting married in 6 months, and they needed a wedding planner. He had heard through our parents that my business was doing well, and he wanted me to plan their wedding. For free. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. The audacity, the sheer nerve of it all, left me speechless. When I finally found my voice, I asked him if he was serious. He said he was, and that he thought it would be a good way for us to reconnect and put the past behind us. I told him I needed time to think about it and hung up. For days, I was in turmoil. Part of me wanted to tell him to shove it, but another part desperately wanted to mend our relationship. In the end, I decided to agree, but with conditions. I would do it, but we needed to have a family meeting first to clear the air. Jake reluctantly agreed, and last weekend, our entire family gathered at our parents' house. Me, Jake, Melissa, our parents, and our younger sister Amy, 28F, who had been living abroad for the past few years and had just returned home. The tension in the room was palpable as we all sat down. I started by calmly explaining my side of the story, how I had never sent any threatening messages to Melissa, and how hurt I had been by Jake's refusal to believe me. Jake listened, his face impassive, while Melissa fidgeted uncomfortably beside him. When I finished, Jake began to speak, but Amy interrupted him. "I have something to say," she said, her voice shaking slightly. We all turned to look at her, surprised. Amy had always been the quiet one, the peacemaker in our family. I'm the one who sent those messages to Melissa," Amy confessed, tears welling up in her eyes. The room fell silent, everyone too shocked to speak. Amy went on to explain that back then, she had been struggling with depression and anxiety. She had always looked up to Jake and me, feeling like she was living in our shadows. When Melissa came into the picture, Amy saw how she was slowly driving a wedge between Jake and the rest of the family, especially me. In a misguided attempt to protect our family and get rid of Melissa, Amy had created a fake email account and sent the threatening messages, making them look like they came from me. "I never thought it would go this far," Amy sobbed. "I thought Melissa would just leave, and everything would go back to normal. I didn't think Jake would believe her over his own sister. And then when I saw how much damage I'd caused, I was too scared to come clean. I'm so sorry." The silence that followed was deafening. Jake sat there, his face a mask of shock and disbelief. Melissa looked like she'd seen a ghost. Our parents were stunned, tears streaming down our mom's face. As for me, I felt like the ground had opened up beneath me. All these years of pain, of feeling betrayed and abandoned by my own brother, and it had all been because of a misunderstanding. A lie told by our younger sister in a moment of weakness. Jake turned to me, his eyes filled with tears. I don't know what to say, he stammered. I'm so sorry. I should have believed you. I should have trusted you. Melissa, to her credit, looked genuinely remorseful. I never saw the actual messages, she admitted quietly. Jake told me about them, and I guess I just assumed they were real. I should have asked to see them. I'm sorry too. The next few hours were a blur of tears, apologies, and painful conversations. We talked about everything, the misunderstanding, the years of estrangement, the hurt we'd all experienced. It was raw and uncomfortable, but necessary. As the day wore on, we began to talk about how to move forward. Jake and Melissa both agreed that asking me to plan their wedding for free had been incredibly insensitive, especially given our history. They offered to pay my full rate if I still wanted to do it, but I could tell Jake's heart wasn't really in the wedding planning anymore. In fact, as we continued to talk, it became clear that this whole incident had brought up some serious issues in Jake and Melissa's relationship. The ease with which they had believed the worst about me, the way they had handled the conflict, it all pointed to deeper problems. By the end of the night, Jake and Melissa had decided to postpone their wedding. They agreed they needed to work on their relationship and rebuild trust, not just with each other, but with the whole family. As for Amy, we were all struggling to process her revelation. While we understood that she had been in a bad place mentally when she sent those messages, the damage her actions had caused was immense. She agreed to start therapy to work through her issues, and we all committed to supporting her through the process. It's been a week since that fateful family meeting, and I'm still trying to wrap my head around everything that happened. Jake and I have been talking every day, slowly rebuilding our relationship. It's not easy, there's a lot of hurt and mistrust to work through, but we're both committed to trying. Melissa and I have had a few conversations too. While I don't think we'll ever be best friends, we're working on developing a respectful relationship. She's been surprisingly understanding about the whole situation, which has helped ease some of the tension. As for Amy, she's started therapy and is working on making amends to everyone she hurt. It's a long road ahead, but we're all trying to approach it with compassion and understanding. Looking back, I can't help but think about how differently things might have turned out if we had all just communicated better 6 years ago. If Jake had shown me the messages, if I had pushed harder for evidence, if Amy had felt comfortable coming to us with her struggles, so much pain could have been avoided. But dwelling on the what-ifs won't change the past. All we can do now is move forward, rebuild our relationships, and try to learn from this experience. It's going to take time, and it won't be easy, but for the first time in 6 years, I feel hopeful about our family's future. So, to anyone reading this who might be going through something similar, don't give up. Keep fighting for the truth, keep trying to communicate, and remember that sometimes, the most unexpected revelations can lead to healing and reconciliation. And maybe think twice before asking your estranged sibling to plan your wedding for free. Just saying. Update, 1 month later. It's been a month since I last posted, and a lot has happened. I thought I'd give you all an update on how things are going with my family. First off, Jake and Melissa did indeed postpone their wedding indefinitely. They've been going to couples therapy, trying to work through the issues that this whole situation brought to light. Jake told me that they realized their relationship had been built on a shaky foundation of mistrust and poor communication. They're taking the time to rebuild from the ground up, which I think is really mature of them. Jake and I have been meeting up once a week for coffee. It's been challenging, to say the least. There's so much to unpack, so many years of hurt and misunderstanding to work through. But we're trying. Last week, he brought out an old photo album from when we were kids. We spent hours laughing over embarrassing childhood photos and reminiscing about the good times. For a moment, it felt like old times. But then reality would hit, and we'd remember the gulf between us. Jake's been struggling with intense guilt. He keeps apologizing for not believing me, for cutting me out so easily. I won't lie, part of me is still angry. I lost 6 years with my brother, years we can never get back. But I'm trying to forgive. It's a process, and some days are harder than others. Melissa and I had a long talk last week. She explained that when Jake first told her about the threatening messages, she was in a vulnerable place. She'd just lost her job and was feeling insecure about her place in Jake's life. She admitted that she latched onto the idea of me as a villain because it made her feel more secure in her relationship with Jake. It wasn't right, and she knows that now, but understanding her perspective has helped me start to forgive her too. Amy's situation is complicated. She's been consistent with her therapy, which is good. But the family dynamics are strained. Our parents are struggling to reconcile the image they had of their perfect little girl with the reality of what she did. Amy's been staying with me for the past couple of weeks. She's been having a hard time facing Jake and Melissa, and I think she feels safest with me right now. One night, after a particularly tough therapy session, Amy broke down and told me everything. How she'd always felt like the odd one out in our family. Jake was the charming, successful older brother. I was the creative, outgoing sister. And Amy? She felt invisible. When Melissa came into the picture and started monopolizing Jake's time, Amy saw her chance to be the hero by getting rid of the interloper. She never thought it would spiral so out of control. I won't lie, hearing all this was hard. I had no idea Amy had been struggling so much, for so long. As the middle child, I guess I was so focused on my relationship with Jake that I never noticed Amy feeling left out. It's made me reevaluate a lot of our childhood memories. Our parents have been trying their best to navigate this situation. Mom's thrown herself into researching family therapy techniques, determined to fix everything. Dad's been quieter, but I can see the pain in his eyes. He told me the other day that he feels like he failed as a father, not noticing that Amy was hurting so much. I tried to reassure him, but the truth is, I think we all feel like we failed each other in some way. Last weekend, we had another family meeting. This time, it was less about airing grievances and more about figuring out how to move forward. We all agreed that we needed to work on our communication. No more sweeping things under the rug or making assumptions. We're going to start having regular family dinners again, like we used to when we were kids. We also decided to start a new family tradition. Once a month, we're going to have a truth circle. Everyone gets a chance to share something they've been keeping inside, without fear of judgment. It's going to be uncomfortable, especially at first, but we all agreed it's necessary if we want to rebuild our relationships on a stronger foundation. As for me, I've been doing a lot of soul searching. I realized that in all of this, I had been so focused on being the victim that I never stopped to think about how I might have contributed to the situation. No, I didn't send those messages, but had I really been as welcoming to Melissa as I could have been? Had I been so caught up in my close relationship with Jake that I inadvertently made her feel like an outsider? I've also been thinking a lot about forgiveness. Not just forgiving Jake, Melissa, and Amy, but also forgiving myself. For not fighting harder when Jake cut me off. For not noticing Amy's pain. For letting bitterness take root in my heart for so long. It's a work in progress, but I'm trying. On a lighter note, my event planning business has been booming. I think throwing myself into work was my way of coping with the family drama, and it paid off. Last week, I landed a contract to plan a major charity gala. It's the biggest event I've ever handled, and I'm equal parts excited and terrified. Jake actually called me the other day to congratulate me on the gala contract. He remembered how I used to talk about planning big events back when we were in college. "You always said you'd be planning galas one day," he said. "I'm proud of you, sis." I won't lie, I teared up a bit at that. So, where do we go from here? Honestly, I'm not sure. Family therapy is on the table, but we're still discussing it. Jake and Melissa are taking things day by day. Their wedding is off the table for now, but Jake mentioned that if and when they do decide to get married, he'd like me to be his best woman. It was a sweet gesture, but we both know we have a long way to go before we're at that point. Amy's therapist has suggested she might benefit from a change of scenery. She's thinking about taking a sabbatical from work and maybe traveling for a bit. Part of me worries about her running away from her problems, but I also understand her need for space to process everything. As for me, I'm focusing on the future. Yes, we've all made mistakes. Yes, we've hurt each other in ways that will take a long time to heal. But we're family. And for the first time in years, I feel like we're all on the same page about wanting to make things right. I know it's not going to be easy. There will be more tears, more arguments, more painful revelations. But there will also be laughter, and understanding, and hopefully, forgiveness. To everyone who read my original post and offered support and advice, thank you. Your words meant more than you know. To those who shared similar stories, know that you're not alone. Family drama can be brutal, but it's not insurmountable. And to anyone who might be going through something similar, here's what I've learned. 1. Communication is key. Don't assume, don't accuse, just talk. And more importantly, listen. 2. Forgiveness is a journey, not a destination. It's okay to still feel hurt even as you're trying to forgive. 3. Mental health is important. If Amy had felt comfortable talking about her struggles earlier, maybe all of this could have been avoided. 4. It's never too late to start over. 6 years is a long time, but it's not forever. 5. Sometimes, the hardest person to forgive is yourself. But it's necessary for healing. I'll probably post another update in a few months, once we've had more time to work through things. Until then, hug your loved ones a little tighter tonight. Tell them you love them. And remember, family isn't just about blood, it's about the people who stand by you, even when things get tough. Thank you all for listening to my story. Your support means the world to me. Edit. Wow, I didn't expect this post to blow up like it did. Thank you all for your kind words and support. I've been reading through all the comments, there are so many, and I'm touched by how many of you have shared similar experiences. To those asking, yes, I'm considering writing a book about this whole experience. Maybe it'll help others going through similar situations. I'll keep you updated. Edit 2, to address some common questions. 1. Yes, Jake and Melissa have seen this post. They're okay with me sharing our story as long as I don't use real names or identifying details. 2. No, we haven't pressed charges against Amy. We're focusing on healing as a family right now. 3. For those asking about my event planning business, yes, I'm still taking clients. But no, I won't plan your wedding for free, even if you're my long-lost sibling. Edit 3, I can't believe I'm saying this, but our story has caught the attention of a TV producer. They want to make a movie about it. I'm still processing this. Has anyone here had experience with their story being turned into a movie? Any advice would be appreciated. Final edit. Okay, this post has gotten way more attention than I ever expected. I'm going to step away from Reddit for a bit to focus on my family and process everything that's happening. Thank you all again for your support. Remember to be kind to yourselves and to each other. Family drama is tough, but with patience, understanding, and a whole lot of love, it's possible to come out stronger on the other side. Peace out.